everybody, welcome to my updated Warrior Raid build guide. The November balance patch just hit, and it's probably the most impactful single balance patch Warrior has had in PvE since the trait for failing strength was actually created. The patch totally alters our role within raid groups, even if it doesn't change the playstyle very much. The main change is that Grace of the Land for Druid enables easy 10-player might stacking from a single Druid, which eliminates the might generator aspect of the Warrior's old role. This means that a lot of the concessions we previously had to make for that role, such as food, sigils, or runes, no longer exist, and we can focus our builds more towards increasing our personal DPS. So what is our role now? Well, our role is to bring key buffs like banners and sometimes empower allies, and bring top-level DPS at the same time. The 10-man nature of banners means that only a single warrior is needed per raid group, so it will be normal for most warriors to bring both banners. So with that out of the way, let's get into gear. For the warrior, at the moment, I recommend Vipers, weapons and armor, and trinkets in full. When fully buffed, this will give our bleeds and burns with food a 99.46% duration, which is currently optimal for the warrior. For runes, strictly speaking, runes of the Renegade are the best. However, the difference between Renegade runes and Berserker runes is very small, and if you already have a full Viper's Ascended set with Berserker runes and don't want to spend the gold to upgrade to Renegade, you'll be okay. For the rest of you, you're probably going to be swapping from Aristocracy runes or Nightmare runes, so go with Renegade for a fresh start. For weapons, the build utilizes Sword, Torch, and Longbow as usual, and for sigils, you are going to use the same on both set. You're going to use Sigil of Malice and Sigil of Geomancy. As far as food buffs go, we're going to use Red Lentil Sabozas and Toxic Focusing Crystals. If you're on a budget, Tuning Icicles are about 1/5 the price of the Toxic Focusing Crystals, and they are about 15 DPS less. Now that's 15, 1-5, which is basically nothing. So Tuning Icicles are more than fine for almost every raid group. And as for infusions, the optimal infusion for a Condi build is 18 Malign Infusion. So that is the gear for the build, and once you get that, you are max DPS and ready to roll. For traits, we are going to go with Arms, Tactics, and Berserker. In Arms, we're going to select Wounding Precision, Blade Master, and Furious. Wounding Precision gives us some much-needed Condi duration. Blade Master makes our sword autos and Flaming Flurry 10% better. And Furious is critical to keeping up our DPS rotation by giving us the adrenaline we need to always get our bursts in on cooldown. In Tactics, we're going to take Empowered. We are going to take Burning Arrows, and we are going to take Powerful Synergy. Empowered is a small DPS boost, Powerful Synergy is also a small DPS boost. Powerful Synergy isn't a huge increase, because in order to benefit, you have to finish all of your arrows through fire fields, which isn't 100% guaranteed in raids. But as small as a benefit as it is, it's better than the other two since it actually does something. Now, the big debate is between Burning Arrows and EA. At this point, I would say it depends on the fight. If you are at Keep Construct, which is a boss where burst power damage matters more than anything, of course Empowered Allies is the way to go. If you're at Veil Guardian, a fight where the boss has very low armor and power damage does extra damage there, Empowered Allies is the way to go. If you're at another boss and most of your group is Condi based, I don't think there's any problem with not taking Burning Arrows. Especially in a pug situation where you can't count on anyone's DPS other than your own, I would go with Burning Arrows in a situation like that. In Berserker, we are going to go with Last Blaze, Heat of the Soul, and King of Fires. Last Blaze gives us many free burning stacks over the course of the fight. Heat of the Soul is a DPS boost when we swap to Sword Torch. The cool thing about Heat of the Soul is that the Condis that you apply in Longbow will get the benefit of the 150 Condi damage when you swap to the sword. So the trait is a good bit better than it appears at first, since many of the burns and bleeds you inflict on Longbow will carry well over into your sword rotation. And lastly, at the GM level, King of Fires is a big duration boost to our burns, and the burning stacks from detonating the fire aura does add up quite a bit over the course of the fight. For slot skills, our baseline heal is going to be Blood Reaction. Our standard utilities are going to be Banner of Discipline, Banner of Strength, and Shattering Blow, and Headbutt. The big debate is going to be Shattering Blow or For Great Justice. Sometimes you're going to be in the group with the Druid. The Druid will make a lot of Fury, and Shattering Blow will be fine. In other times, you're going to be in the other group away from the Druid, and there might not be anyone in the group who can make Fury. If you don't see anyone else in the group who can make Fury for the group, you need to switch to For Great Justice. That way you can be the Fury generator, you share the Fury with the Mesmer, and the Mesmer shares it with SOI. It's really, really helpful if no one else has Fury that you bring this. Otherwise, your entire sub-squad will be without Fury, and your DPS will be very low. But if you do have someone else in the group who's going to be making Fury for you, Shattering Blow is an amazing DPS increase, and you should definitely bring it. Now, as far as the rotation goes, the rotation is very similar to before. I'm going to demonstrate a loop of the rotation while narrating in slow motion, so you can see when each skill is used. Since the warrior rotation is a near-perfect loop, you'll be able to repeat this for the duration of the fight. So, before I do that, I want to make a statement about the last Flaming Flurry in the rotation as well as Arcing Arrow. There is a lot of debate in the community about whether these skills are a DPS increase, breaking even, or a DPS loss. The truth is, the differences are so small either way that we really can't get a definitive answer from benchmarks, because with enough grind and enough time on the golem, you can get a good enough result with either way you choose to do the rotation to justify either position. I will say, however, that on bosses like Keep Construct during the burn phase or Veil Guardian, Arcing Arrow is definitely a DPS increase due to their particular vulnerability to physical damage. Additionally, in fights with a lot of adds, where you will cap Furious stacks easily, so the final Flaming Flurry becomes much less important. For fights with no adds and nothing to cleave, you will likely get slightly better DPS results using the final Flaming Flurry in the rotation, as it gives a big burst of Furious stacks. The point of this is to stress that the differences here we're talking about are very, very small, and if you can't hit the final Flaming Flurry due to Alacrity downtime or even your ping, it's not that big of a loss, and in fact may even be beneficial to you, depending on the fight. Also, you can either use Arcing Arrow or not in most cases, and it doesn't really matter, and it's purely your choice. Alright, so for the rotation, you're going to lead with Torch 5, followed by Torch 4, Shattering Blow, which will give you stability so that you can headbutt without being interrupted yourself, allow you to go into Berserk, and then you're going to do a Flaming Flurry. When the Flaming Flurry bar is full, you can swap to Longbow, Fan of Fire, Scorched Earth, use your heal, Scorched Earth again, then pin down. And then we're going to auto a little bit until Fan of Fire comes back off cooldown, and then you'll use Fan of Fire first before you use Scorched Earth. Now, as we're getting ready for our weapon swap to come back, we are going to be able to Shattering Blow. You'll see that the Fan of Fire and Scorched Earth cooldown are about the same. You want a Scorched Earth first. Fan of Fire is going to give us Adrenaline when it crits. We're going to swap back to Sword, Torch 4, and then Flaming Flurry. Immediately after the Flaming Flurry, we will go back into Torch 5, and we are going to auto for a good deal of time here until our Shattering Blow and our Torch 4 are off cooldown again. So then we're going to Shattering Blow, Torch 4, and then we're going to wait for our Berserk to come up. Once Berserk is up, we're going to activate it, and then immediately Flaming Flurry. When the Flaming Flurry bar is full, we will go and repeat the longbow rotation again. It's going to be a little bit different the second time through because we're going to have Headbutt off cooldown. Now this really only applies to fights where you don't need the Headbutt for CC, but as you'll see, in a fight like Mursat Overseer where there's nothing to CC, or if your group just has really good CC, after you Shattering Blow there, you will be able to Headbutt. It gives big power damage, as well as proccing a burn for Last Blaze. Otherwise, the rotation is the exact same as the time before. And so that's it. That is the current rotation. And if you have any more questions in depth, ask them in the comments below. So that's it, guys. I hope this guide is helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comments. I will do my best to answer them. Otherwise, have fun and enjoy your raiding.